Today's story is a wonderful one for anyone who wants to explore neurodivergency and neuroplasticity. We're going to talk about why parents don't have to apologize in this chiropractor's office, and also about why a whole team approach is a beautiful thing, and about just how capable the brain is of rewiring itself. Hi, I'm Jenna Quinton, founder of Adjust Your Media and host of What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, Stories of Innate podcast. And I'm excited to share this story. I think it's an important one. So if you find value in it, please share it for others to find and look in the show notes for all of the resources. Today on What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, Stories of Innate, I have Dr. Drew Rubin. Thank you for being here and thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So I would love for you to tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do. You have a special practice, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I am very privileged to be a board-certified pediatric chiropractor. I've been doing this for close to 40 years now. I was taught by Dr. Larry Webster himself, who is the founder of chiropractic pediatrics, and he was able to tutor me during some of the unfortunate last years of his life, kind of guide me in a direction of really heading my practice towards the neurodivergent population. So I have really been taking that to the next level ever since of his suggestions and his comments. And I'm very fortunate to have my beautiful wife, who's Dr. Lisa Rubin. She's a clinical psychologist. So her clinical psychology brain and Webster's brilliance in pediatrics really kind of steered me into a very special place where we really take these neurodivergent kids, these kids with autism, ADHD, learning disorders, cerebral palsy, developmental issues, and we take them in a place of total acceptance, total safety, and total care about them, so that it's not like a cookie cutter kind of practice. It's more of a very specialized practice geared towards their needs, not towards ours. So I've just been so blessed to be able to find this population and work with them for years.
Yes, that's beautiful. And you explained that all so well. I think that that's so important for parents to know what this environment looks like before they would even consider learning more about how you are helping. So I know that we learn better through stories and we understand better in an emotion-based setting versus just a data dump. So would you tell us a story about somebody whose life improved with chiropractic care?
Sure, I didn't know where to begin after this many years, but I'm going to tell you my all-time favorite story. This was about, it's going on almost 20 years now. I'm thinking about this. And this was in the introduction when I was really starting to hone in on the more neurodevelopmental, neurodivergent population. So this one boy, we get a phone call, kid is about 8 weeks old, so a newborn baby. And disastrous birth, unfortunately. He did not breathe for the first 15 minutes of his life. And usually when you don't breathe for your first 15 minutes of your life, generally what happens is your brain has a bit of a stroke-like kind of situation. So his outlook was very, very poor. His prognosis was very, very limited. And I'm really shortening the story. They came to my office saying, what do we do? Everybody is saying that one of two things is going to happen. Either he's not going to make it past his first year, or if he does make it, he's going to have significant disabilities. Won't talk, won't walk, be in a wheelchair, not be able to feed himself, not be able to do anything. He'll just, be very, very vegetative. And she said, there's got to be another way. There's got to be another alternative from what the typical medical teams are telling us. So I said, let's look at him from a brain perspective. Not from what's wrong, but what is right. And let's find the things that are working good and maximize those, and look for the things that aren't working as good and try to push those up too. And let's get a team of people around this kiddo to help him. So it's not just going to be me as a chiropractor. It's going to be me and an OT and a PT and a speech therapist and a developmental pediatrician. So we created this team for this kiddo. And it was absolutely amazing because in the beginning, his primitive reflexes, when you're a baby, you're supposed to have these reflexes. So for instance, if I put my hand in a baby's hand, what should that baby do?
I should close.
It should squeeze it, right? So this kid didn't do that. He didn't blink when you clapped your hands. He didn't blink when you shined the light in his eyes. He didn't flinch when you did you kind of dropped him like this, like a Moreau reflex. He didn't do anything. So the doctors had said he's deaf, he's blind, he's like just completely, there's nothing going on. His little brain is totally damaged. And I said, the brain's got this unbelievable capacity of neuroplasticity. Let's just see what happens. So between the work we did and the work the OT did, which was unbelievable amount of work, and the speech therapist and the PT and the developmental pediatrician working with this kid. I can't show a picture because I don't have permission, but this kid is like almost a normal, healthy kid, right? So I have a picture, one of my favorite pictures of him at 2 years old, me and him, and he's just this cute little kid, his big smile, walking, talking, laughing, right? Now, yes, he has cerebral palsy, right? He had a stroke. There's damage in the brain. That ain't going away. But the brain has this amazing ability to, if this area is damaged, it's going to say, well, what around this area is working and what on the other side can I use also that's similar? So what his brain did is his brain kind of rewired. And what's amazing is the doctors who said he's going to either not make it or he's going to be, severely disabled were stunned. But the reason they were stunned is because they didn't think that way, right? They were only seeing this, like these are your two choices, but there's a third alternative. And we were able to see, let's try to maximize his little potential and see what happens. And in the end, he's not neurotypical. He's got issues, but he'll drive. He'll graduate from high school. He'll have a job. Very, very different life than what they were predicting for him. And that is one of my favorite stories, to know what this kid has turned into compared to what he could have turned into if they listened to there's nothing we can do thought process, right? There's always something can be done. If anybody says there's nothing can be done, what that means is that that person, that doctor does not know what to do. It doesn't mean that there is nothing.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. There's so many good points that I want to explore. One of them being, you said that the brain can rewire. And I was picturing driving with my teenager, and my teenager knows one way to get places, right? He knows one way to get to school, one way to go to church, one way to get home. But if there was road work or, a block or something, he would just be like, oh, now, would we turn around and go home?
Right.
Or does somebody who knows a different way be able to say, oh, it's okay, we'll just go a little bit out of our way. It might take longer. The route might look a little bit different, but we can actually hang a left and go down this dirt road, and we actually pop out on the other side, and look, we're on the other side of school. And that we understand that we can do that when we're driving, that if there's a roadblock slowing us down, stopping us, we can reroute. But it's amazing to think of our brains doing that, and especially a child's brain that has so much, you said, neuroplasticity. I loved that point. The other one was that you talked about a whole team. I think sometimes people think that a healthcare professional is going to really guard their space and be like, I'm doing this and this is the only thing that'll work. So talk a little bit more about that, the importance of and how you have that whole team going.
Yeah, I think it's so important to understand this whole team concept, because hundreds of years ago, it was like it took a community to raise a child, right? And now we've become like this box, this box, this box. It's just these separate. It doesn't work that way. It still takes a community to raise all children, and especially kids who have these significant issues. It takes a number of different approaches. So like chiropractic, especially the pediatric brain-based chiropractic, is amazing, but I do these things really, really well, but I don't do speech, right? I don't do physical therapy. I don't do occupational therapy. That's not my stuff. So we need to have a whole team approach to help these kids. And what I have found is that those kiddos who are neurodivergent or have some special needs of some sort really, really do well, even though I know it's way harder for the parents. And I get that financially, time-wise, everything. I totally get the investment. But when you see a kid like this child I just mentioned and see the changes he's made and where he is now, it's just like putting money in the bank, right? You may miss it a little bit now, but at the end, when you have this big bank account, you're like, wow, I'm really glad I saved that money, right? It's the same thing. You invest this time, energy, and money now into your child. When they're older, now you get the return on that investment. And that, should be hopefully a gratifying thing. And you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
It takes a team.
Yeah. So explain a little bit how chiropractic is different than physical therapy, how what you are doing is different than the physical therapy side of things.
Sure. So physical therapy is really important, especially with a lot of these kids, because they need the muscle strength. Like this child had a lot of weakness in his core. He needs a lot of work to make that core stronger. And that's not the thing that I know how to do it, but that's not the thing that I do in my office, right? He needs an hour of that 3 times a week to get that strong. What I do is make sure the brain and nerve system is connected really well. And that's, I think, one of the biggest missing pieces in all of healthcare, whether it's for kids or adults or seniors or athletes or whatever. The biggest thing is that this spine connects the brain to the nerve system and the rest of the body. And if there's something not working in this system here, in the spine here, then the brain can't talk to the body can't talk to the brain. And now you are, as my mentor says, Dr. Melillo, you are disconnected. So what chiropractic does is we reconnect these disconnections. But what physical therapy does is it strengthens the muscles as these disconnected and reconnected. Occupational therapy, what they do is they will kind of do repetitive, important behaviors as the kid is getting reconnected. Speech therapy will teach these kids how to use their voice and how to swallow and talk and those kind of things as they get reconnected. So that's why what we do is kind of foundational, and then these other things kind of pivot off of that. And the way we know chiropractic is so important is so many of the kiddos have come to us who've done these other things and have not been very successful. But then with chiropractic care, now they are skyrocketing in their success because now everything's connecting.
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned a little bit in the beginning the environment and how you are working for their needs and not yours. But tell us a little bit about that if a parent says, I don't think my child will let you even touch them.
Yeah, we get that all the time. And that's probably true in a lot of cases where there's nothing, I'm not judging anybody, but if the chiropractor, physical therapist, OT, speech therapist has a goal of, I got to get this done really quickly in mind, and this is the one way I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to vary based upon what's happening with that kid, this is where they run into problems. So for instance, we take care of so many kids with autism who are super duper sensitive, especially in their necks. So we don't do traditional adjusting with these kids. If they don't want to lie face down on a bench, I don't care. If they want to sit on the floor, if they want to sit with their mom and dad, they want to stand up. We got this one kid, we call him Torpedo Boy, because he literally will roll on the chiropractic bench like this. He'll face up and go on his side and face down and face up, and he'll just kind of roll. And that's totally fine. And there's no judgment about that. So we don't tell the parents, hey, get your kid to lie there and hold him here and I'll hold him here. What we do is we let the child be completely free. So these kids love coming to see us because we're not in any way, shape, or form stopping their behaviors, because their behaviors are part of some of their issues. We let them do whatever behaviors they do because we know eventually they're going to start realizing, oh, Dr. Rubin wants me to do this. But we're in no rush. That's the key, is that we're not in a rush. So our care plans are longer because I know it's going to take time to get us to the place where they're trusting and comfortable and feel safe.
Well, and that's amazing for parents to hear, I know, because a lot of the times parents might feel the need to explain. They've had to explain in other situations and other groups and had to explain to other professionals. So how beautiful is it for parents to know that you already get it?
Yeah, I was just adjusting a kid on the spectrum yesterday. There's a new patient, and the mom's like, Johnny, that's not his name, but Johnny, lie down. And he's not lying down. He's kind of lying, kind of like halfway like this. And she's like, you really got to lie down. I'm like, you know what? He can do anything he wants. It doesn't matter. I want him to trust me, to love being here, and he wants to talk about, apparently there's a thing on Netflix called Green Eggs and Ham. There's some like TV show series, like not the one I remember from when I was a kid, but now this whole series. And he's telling me about this character and this character, Sam I am, and something else I am. And the mom's like, Johnny, stop. He doesn't need to hear this. I'm like, no. I love hearing this kind of stuff. And they're always saying like, either stop or I'm sorry he does this. I'm sorry. I'm like, no. There's no reason to apologize. This is all expected. And we want this because next time he comes in, he's going to say, Dr. Rubin wants me to talk about Green Eggs and Ham. And I even went last night and I watched it so I can
be
prepared for this little conversation. And to me, that's like the personalization that I think is really missing in a lot of healthcare across the board these days. Everything's just like, I have this is what I do. This is the box I do it in. You have to lie face down. You have to do this. You have to do that. But with these kiddos, you have to be flexible.
Yes. Well, what do you wish that either skeptical spouses or family members knew? Like once you have a child coming to see you, but maybe there's other people in their life who are a little bit skeptical, what do you wish that they knew?
One of the biggest things that I talk about with our patients, I tell them to explain this to their parents and their in-laws and their pediatricians, etc., is that there's two kinds of chiropractors, essentially. There's a million, but two kinds. There's brain-based and there's bone-based. A bone-based chiropractor is not that it's bad or wrong, but a bone-based chiropractor is going to do more osseous adjusting, and it might be somewhat dramatic for these kids, etc. And then there's bone-based chiropractic, which there are not very many of us, who are much more interested in gentle adjusting, getting the brain and nerve system strong and healthy in a slow progress versus a quick kind of thing, and in making sure that the child feels safe and trusting. So that's the biggest thing that I try to make sure that our parents know, is that bone-based is great. There's a place for it. But for kids like this, the brain-based is the way to go because it takes them into account instead of being sort of like everybody falls into this box. In our office, there's no box, right? And there's no expectations of anything of wherever they want to get, however, no judgment whatsoever.
Wonderful. Well, I am going to put some notes in the show notes, links for where to find you and to find more information, more about the different things that you've mentioned so that parents can find some resources. Is there any resource that you particularly love to point parents to?
Well, my website, theadjustment.com, is great. I've had that URL, The Adjustment, since 1997. I was one of the first chiropractors in New Jersey, where I was at the time. Now I'm in Atlanta, Marietta. I was one of the first chiropractors in New Jersey to have a website. And that was my URL. So it's cool. But that's my favorite place to go. I also have a podcast myself called ChiroCast. And I've just posted my 640 something or other episode. It's one of the longest running podcasts in chiropractic. And we also have a great blog if you're interested. If you go on my website, theadjustment.com, there's a great blog where we post almost every week about some interesting chiropractic topics. So any of those places are a great place to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing today. This is something that I think more parents need to know. Also, just more of the general public, because we all know somebody who knows somebody who needs a brain-based approach and needs to know, like the key word that you said was, that disconnection. What a beautiful thing it is when we're connected within ourselves, when we're connected to each other. So thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you. It was really great being on the show, and I look forward to talking with you again in the future and seeing you at DE.
Absolutely.